And here we go, another last man standing. Thank y'all for showing up, and thank anybody that's really silly enough to watch. Evidently zero at the moment, but
They'll be here.
I'll wait and run the ads when people are actually watching. So, well, really, I want to thank y'all for being here. This is one of those things where I get to fulfill a childhood fantasy of pretending to be Johnny Carson for a little bit. And
yeah. Dan, I hate to interrupt you, but I got to tell you something. You sort of goofed. You didn't hit the go live. I did. I had to start it after you'd already started rolling your intro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forget that it has to be hit twice.
Yeah, you got to hit it twice.
Okay.
And then start your thing.
Well, no big deal. I'll figure it out as time progresses.
Yep, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Hey, if I can do it, Dan, I know you can do it.
How many weeks has it been since I started doing this?
Well, actually, this is the first time that you've actually started your own show.
And now we have three. Oh my goodness!
And a big heart of love.
Wow. Well, it's John. Yeah.
Love you.
He's a big old teddy bear anyway. So.
But yeah, Dan, I just wanted to jump in here to say congratulations on starting your own show and being part of the Rising Tide Network.
Well, Joe, if it hadn't been for you, I would not have been able to do it, and I probably would not have even considered it. I had done some stuff solo for Aphelion before, and I go, I'm boring. There needs to be somebody else here to talk to. And that didn't happen, but now it has. So,
well, I understand. And the first comment is John.
Sorry.
All
right.
Like we said on the other show, I've had a pretty rough day, so I'm gonna tap out, and I will catch all of y'all Thursday night.
All right. We'll be looking forward to it.
All right. See you later. Thanks for jumping in with my show. And you guys break a leg.
Hey. As long as we got enough beer.
All right.
We'll break something. Yeah. Probably rules.
Yeah. All right. Good night,
Probably
y'all.
a beer glass.
Good night, Joe.
Right.
Be seeing you. Well, guys, thanks for showing up. Let's get wild and get crazy. No, we need Nick Tucker for that. I mean, just uninterrupted flow.
He's not commenting. He's usually all over this thing. So.
He's probably taking care of his boy Xander, so not on the videos tonight. But that's
I got to get a little bit of sleep and go cook pancakes for babysit kids tomorrow.
Okay, well, whatever time you're willing to give us, we're grateful for.
You've got that long.
Okay, 7 minutes.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay.
It's like a visible gas tank where it just starts decreasing and decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bill, gas pump. I mean,
what are you doing up there? You're away from home. You're in a hotel. What you doing?
I'm up
and you're staring at airplanes.
I was staring at airplanes, but that's not what I came up here for. I came up to help my bestie Laura and her 86-year-old dad at his house. Some things that we started Tuesday when we brought him up here to get his for an eye appointment, and we didn't get done Tuesday. There's just a lot to do, a lot of yard work. Yes, folks, this is why I'm in bed. I could have been a little bit more professional tonight, and I'm sorry I wasn't. and that because there in my room here there is kind of a living room area with a second TV. I have two TVs in this room. I got one here right at the end of the bed that I'm laying on now, and there's one in the other room where I guess where you would entertain people. There's like a sectional and all that you can sit down on and that. And we came in at 10 o'clock tonight, so there was no entertaining. Well, I entertained the shower to get all the funk off that or what was left. But went to a really wonderful Chicago restaurant called Big Sammy's, and he's known for his hot dogs and that. And I don't have my drink cup in here with. I left it out in Laura's car. I'd show it to you, but anyway, wonderful beer battered onion rings. Laura had great big huge charboiled hamburger and fries, and then we had an order of churros. One was filled with chocolate and the other one was filled with strawberry. And we were, and this is just a little hole in the wall restaurant that is part of a big strip mall in Elk Grove Village. And I mean, they had a sports bar across that we could have gone to, but me and Laura aren't the big drinkers. You know, it's not that we won't, but we're just not. And she found this place with her dad, and they both absolutely love it. And her dad was wanting to do things at his house. He no longer lives there, but he has stuff there, and we're kind of preparing to move everything. And today was yard work day, and so, but she has to bring him up here every 6 weeks. He has macular degeneration. He's 86 years old. And so he gets shots in both of his eyes and that. So
I know a couple of people that are going through that, and
that's just got horror movie written all over it right there.
Yeah, really, doesn't it? It's one of, and they've got to sit there and let it happen.
But
it's one
you
of those
don't
things.
feel it. You don't feel it, Dan.
Oh,
John.
yeah, like I'm going to believe that.
No, they actually, okay, well, see, and I'll tell you why. I didn't know myself. And the thing is, my 70-year-old second cousin just started doing the same thing about 2 months ago. And she knew, I'm sorry, I'm going all which way because I'm just.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm holding the phone up to my face and I'm looking and I'm like, holy crap, I look like that. But anyway.
I feel the same way about mirrors.
Yeah. Well, that's no problem with me because I can't see my reflection in the mirror anyway. So, but anyway, but no, what they do, because I had to get all this information to give it to my cousin because she was just scared to death, you know, and who wouldn't be, you know, I know I would be, but they actually numb your eyes. And so when the injections
my mom had cataract replacement surgery. So
yeah. So you don't.
That's what I get to look forward to.
You don't feel it. You don't feel it. And that now you come out and his eyes were really bloodshot and red, and it takes him a day or two to recover. It'll take about 2 weeks before his eyes are no longer bloodshot and that, but it's all entirely normal what his doctor says about it. So, so we were up here Tuesday for that, did a little bit of yard work, and then we came up this weekend and decided we really needed to do a lot of stuff. So we're, you know, spending the night here. So anyway.
Now, I don't know how well you two know each other, but John's got Google Foo like crazy, and he's served our country well for many a year. And
this is
I
my
know,
head getting bigger.
No, and Bill, you got your artwork is just amazing. I mean, you do all these
Thank
things,
you.
and you're a big fan of helping people remember the cartoons that were on TV back during our childhood. So, I mean, if you want to ask each other questions, that'd be really neat.
Well, I'm actually a member of his Saturday morning cartoon thing.
Okay, there you go.
Of course, I never wake up early enough on Saturday morning anymore to actually do any of that.
Really?
But I have been wanting to get Bill to do Gigantor.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
let me see what I can find. I have some connections. We've got connections, you know.
There you go.
But yeah, I'll have to see. And I actually drew Gigantor. I think about a year ago. I was going through drawing all the Saturday morning cartoons, and I was doing Johnny Quest and all
I
these.
I love that when you posted just this past week or so. Johnny Quest. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, that's the real deal right there.
And then my friend Tim Winstead, which he's a cartoonist, he said, "What? No Haji?" You know.
Oh,
and he goes, you know,
Haji just didn't get enough love. That's all there is to it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like Haji. Now I did draw. I drew. Besides Johnny, which that was the logo with the head with the Q around it.
Yeah.
But I did draw Bandit, and I drew Race Bannon. And that
the classic Race Bannon is him sitting behind the bulldozer blade, shooting back at the guys, and it's there's a big joke in Gun Aficionados about Race Bannon teaching the difference between cover and concealment for over 30 or 50 years.
Yeah, really.
Well, the one that I drew of him is the one that you always see at the beginning of the episode where he's piloting the jet.
What was the name of that plane? It had a name. I can't remember. Yeah, I just brought this show to a screeching halt.
No. It among fans it was called the Quest Jet, and then again in the cartoon, I think they actually had a name for it, but
was it called? Yeah, I should know this. I know it's horrible of me. I'm
doing we can't
myself
know everything.
It was called the Dragonfly.
Oh, Dragonfly.
Okay. Dragonfly.
Well, I was thinking of like Questor 1 or something, so maybe that was a different
Let me read. I'm going to the Johnny Quest wiki.
Okay.
Let's see. Is high-speed jet and the signature mode of aerial transportation of the Quest team, designed by Dr. Benton Quest. Mm-hmm. And it appeared originally in 1964. That damn thing's older than I am.
Yeah, but I'm older than it.
I can understand why it was called the Dragonfly, because it had that big needle of a nose on it.
Yep. And the really fun thing for kids back then was it was VTOL.
Mm-hmm.
So, whoosh, boom.
That was state of the art back then.
Yeah, and it was actually cutting edge state of the art back then. Mm-hmm. There wasn't that many. That was before Harrier was ever invented, so it was still experimental. So there were only a few planes, and they were X planes that were capable of doing that sort of thing, and some of them were kind of weird looking and tail sitters and took off vertically. But I always wondered how you land that thing. You got some good rear view mirrors to know when to cut the engines off, or what? just kind of back down to the ground and go, oh, I hope this is the time to cut the off switch.
I was trying to think of the episode that it was, but I was thinking my favorite Johnny Quest episode was that energy creature that was invisible until they poured paint on it.
Yep, it was the energy monster. I think that was the name of it.
Energy.
I wonder where they got that from. Leslie Nielsen. Okay.
It's still a beautiful plane. It is still a beautiful plane.
Oh yeah.
And you notice the wings are back by the tail assembly, so that
well, it's got that big huge tail, which is kind of crazy. And then it's got and then it's got the wings come up. So
I was wondering why they didn't. Well, they probably hadn't done the research at the time, but nowadays I wonder why it didn't have the canard wings, the little front flap thingies.
There were only, I think, maybe 3 aircraft back in that day that had it. One of them was propeller driven, but it had a pusher propeller instead of a puller propeller.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a Maverick or something. I can't remember the name, but it was an experimental aircraft. And the only problem it had is it had really bad landing characteristics, and that's what killed it. And then Saab was experimenting with Conard aircraft, Delta Wing aircraft at the time, right after World War II, in the 50s. I'm going to say it was the Saab Draken that had the Conards up front.
Well, I'm taking your word for it because I do not know.
I used to build a lot of models. But the Saab the Saab Viggen I think had Conards. The Saab Draken was that radical X or Delta Wing aircraft that was just awesome looking. It was the F-16 back in the day. And strange enough, there are quite a few air forces that are still using that aircraft. And it's wicked. Every kid had a little metal Saab Draken back in the day. Let me see. I'm going to bring a picture of it up real quick. It was just such a wicked looking aircraft.
Now, I may have been one of the really strange kids, but you know how a lot of kids will collect Matchbox cars?
Yes.
I had jet airplanes the same scale. And I don't know where I got them. I really don't. It was Knoxville. Could have been anywhere. Probably a Kmart. Or maybe one of the stores where my dad was buying me the Tom Swift Jr. books or whatever. But I had a huge collection of these teeny tiny Matchbox size jet airplanes, and they were just wonderful.
Do you remember who made them?
Nope.
This is the Saab Draken.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it was literally that was the F-16 back in the day, and it was just an awesome, wicked aircraft.
Yeah, it looks like it from the wing shape and everything else. Was that twin engine or just single engine?
One engine.
I can't tell. Yeah. One engine. Okay.
Saab Viggen.
So it would have the underbody air scoop there underneath the.
No, the air scoops are on either side. They're built into the wings.
Oh, I see.
They're little bitty ones. Yeah. And let me see here. I'm going to remove that one. And I am going to bring up. See if this will let me do it.
It's got some beautiful curves to it.
It do. Share screen. Let's see. I want to go to that one. This is the Viggen. Oh, I might have to back up. That's the Saab Viggen. That's what replaced it. Oh, wait, I got to click that button.
Yeah.
That's the Saab Viggen. And that was the one that had the Conards.
Yeah.
And it's also single engine. That was a wicked aircraft for its day. They got a new one called the Griffin. And
that looks like something out of Thunderbirds. It really does.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
They're radical designs. And these are all same people like the car.
Yeah.
That's Saab.
It's too bad they didn't make better cars.
Oh, my dad loved the old Saabs. That and the Opel Kadett. He had an Opel Kadett.
Oh yeah, Opels were always
1972.
nice.
He just loved those small cars for some reason.
They were really dependable. I wanted to get the Opel Manta, the one that looked like a Corvette somebody put in a dryer and left too long.
Yeah, exactly.
But it
had
a teeny tiny motor.
And that's the Griffin. That's the one that is almost a direct descendant of the F-16.
Oh,
that is a beautiful piece of work there.
That's their modern. That's the modern version of those other two aircraft. And wicked as hell.
Well, they certainly did their research. That is a beautiful machine.
Yes.
Okay. Now my second favorite Johnny Quest was always the one with the mechanical spider that Dr. Zen sent in to spy. And I can't remember the name of it unless it was the electronic spy or something like that. I don't know what it was. But
the episode, yeah.
I can't remember. I really can't. I should, because I've got the darn things on DVDs and I watch them often enough. I believe I've got them in the great big huge whopping hard drive over here for the desktop computer.
Well, that energy monster that I was talking about previously, even though that was always been my favorite episode when I was a kid, I could not watch it because the noise that monster made scared me to death when I was, 6, 7 years old. And
you
when I got a little
hard time with Forbidden Planet with the same theremin music going in the background. The Energy Monster was the first ever Johnny Quest that I got to see, and it was in a Kmart in Knoxville. And my parents had gone shopping and go, "Oh, here's a color TV. What on earth is that? Y'all run along. I'll just sit here for a while." And I watched the entire
2 days.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and watch this. And I'm going, oh, we got to buy a color TV so I can watch this again.
The first really scary movie I can remember as a child was Day of the Triffids. And I don't know what they had this little, in Chattanooga we called it Shock Theater. It was on CBS, and Dr. Shock and Dingbat would come out and do the midnight movies every Saturday night. And that was really special for me because we got to stay up and watch those scary movies. Well, at the time when I saw Day of the Triffids, we were living down in Biloxi, Mississippi, and they had a similar show, and I can't remember the name of it right offhand. That's how young I was. I can't remember the name of it anymore. But it was just like Shock Theater, just different characters. And they showed I don't know what it was about Day of the Triffids. There was something about that plant coming through the window and chasing that kid that scared the hell out of me.
You've never looked at okra the same way since.
I'll chop the hell out of okra, make a gumbo. Let me tell you, I'm good at frying gumbo.
And now we know why.
Yeah, Creeping Charlie.
The one that scared me when I was young was Day the Earth Stood Still.
Really?
I am told that once Gort the robot started appearing, I crawled behind the couch, in between the couch and the wall, and was kind of just peeking out at the TV.
To this day, every time I want, and it pisses me off that the Keanu Reeves version keeps showing up on cable. Okay. I want to see the original. And there's just I watch it and I have this odd mind. I have an architectural mind, building things and stuff like this. Every time they show that UFO, I keep the flying saucer. I keep looking for the seams where the door opens, and I don't know what special effects they use, but it's really hard to see those seams. They did a really good job on that.
Well, they intended to have it be seamless when the door was not open.
Exactly.
So that's the way they built it. The models that the door was not open, there was no seam.
And the other thing gets me, it landed in the eclipse in Washington, D.C., which is, back then, it was a baseball field. Now it's a big park. They got rid of the baseball fields. But there was this one building I kept seeing in the background. I was like, and it's in Washington, D.C. I kept seeing this building. I'm like, what building is that? And it just bugged me because they showed this building right behind it several times. I was like, what building is that? Finally figured out what it was. It's the building for was the League of American States, I think it's called. I might have the name wrong. Hang on a second. I'll look it up real quick.
Go right ahead.
Google Map and give me a second. Okay, let me see. There's Norfolk.
No, another one that it didn't scare me, but it always impressed me with how good it was the Forbidden Planet.
Oh, the Organization of American States. That's what building that was.
Okay.
And you see, I'm going to try and find a picture of it here real quick. Throw it up here.
All right. I'm going to have to let my iPad go blank. I don't think anybody's going to be messaging me this time of night. So that's one thing. I don't have to keep hitting the damn iPad to have it pop back up and show nothing for another 20 minutes until the timer goes off and it tries to shut itself down. What were some other things that were really, really good from that era? My favorite black and white movie from the 50s was The Thing from Another Planet with James Arness as the walking carrot. And the reason I liked it so much is all the crosstalk between the characters. They're talking over top of one another, just like real people do in real situations. You got 5 or 6 conversations going on.
Especially when somebody's trying to kill them.
You will. You know how to shoot that flare gun? Yeah. Just like.
Now, of course, there's been 2 remakes of that, right?
Yeah, there have.
Okay, that's that building I was telling you all about.
Okay, yeah.
And it drove me nuts. Let me see if I can find the darn thing. I'm gonna find it again. They did one with Kurt Russell, which was really, really good because that head spider thing was just cool as hell. I don't know who thought David Cronenberg, I think it was, thought that up, and that was just awesome. But
I'll tell you what scared me the most when I was a young kid. I can't remember the year, but you remember the Soupy Sales show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Every week, and I loved Soupy Sales when I was a little kid. I just thought he was the funniest thing in the world. But every week when they went up and they hit him in the face with the shaving cream pie and how his face looked, it scared the bejeebers out of me. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I thought it looked like his face was melting or dripping off of his head or what it was, but for some weird reason, I knew when they were going to hit him in the face with the shaving cream pie, I would either hide my head or I would run out of the room real quick.
Yeah. I can see that. It's amazing the things we think as kids.
Yeah, I know it's stupid, but
well,
I never forget it.
It doesn't matter. We were kids. We didn't know any better. We hadn't had that much experience with the world.
Well, I still don't know any better.
Okay, John, now I see the photograph. Where in relation to the flying saucers, the building that you were talking about, is it over near the Washington Monument? Or
that's actually what I'm looking at as we speak. See, I'm trying to figure out what that building. I'm pretty sure that building. Well, let me bring this up real quick. That's wait a minute. Share. I need to share that one. Okay. That's the same spot today, and you, of course, with the trees, you can barely see that building back there.
Okay, so it's the building over there in the middle right.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Well, that is not what I was clicking on. Darn it. Darn it. Go away. There's where this landed.
And
I'm trying to find. There's the Washington Monument. So looking. There's World War II. So it was somewhere in here was the building of. Let's see. So it's just to the right of the Washington Monument. So that's
okay. The photograph from the movie is oriented upside down to that map. Then,
well, here's Washington Monument. So whatever that building is should be over here, which would make that building that right there, the Organization of American States. Which, of course, most of these trees weren't there back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing. I wonder if it's in reverse, because that building that building's a lot longer with 3 chimneys and several windows. It's got at least 6 windows up top. Those little V-shaped windows. Let me throw that up there because I don't know.
No, I mean the second photo, the modern day one of the same area, looking what I presume is.
I'm gonna try and bring both of them
west.
up. Give me a second, because it doesn't like me doing this for some reason.
Oh well, it doesn't like us doing anything, so we do it anyway.
It's driving me nuts. I can share screen. Microsoft Edge, that thing. There we go. Okay, there's one of them. Okay, so I go back here, click. Okay, that's the screen. Okay. And then I'm trying to find the Google Map one here. Shares. It gave me stop screen. Darn it. Share screen. Microsoft. Google Maps. Okay. And there's the Google Map. Okay, there's that. So that's the building that's showing up. But I'm wondering if it was in reverse, because you see this building here. Let's see here. All right. Let's see if I can find the same thing. Let's see if you'll work. Somebody took a picture. Let's see what they were taking a picture of. There's that. Okay. There's the Washington Monument. There's the eclipse. And there's that building that I believe was in the picture. I don't see any chimneys. So this what's been driving me nuts, is I think they may have torn down the actual building I'm flipping looking for.
Well, remodeling hits everybody sooner or later.
Yeah. You know, they used to fill that reflecting pool in front of the Washington Monument. They used to fill it with salt water. But it was tearing up all the marble and everything that was in the reflecting pool in front of the Washington Monument. So they just recently did a big refurbishment on it and filled it with fresh water that won't destroy the. There's a reflecting. The Lincoln Memorial reflecting. Lincoln Memorial reflecting. Okay, well that makes sense. They recently filled it with just regular fresh water. That's why it's flipping green now.
Yeah, with lots of mosquitoes.
Of course. Well, they used to call this whole area the swamp.
Well, it was a swamp.
matter of fact,
Washington was nothing but a swamp until they started construction on it
matter of
back in the
fact,
day.
this area over here used to be called Foggy Bottom.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Really? Okay. Arlington House, the Robert E. Lee Memorial. Where is the Tomb of the Unknown? There's the Pan Am Flight 103 Memorial. Are you seeing? Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all aren't seeing this, are you? All right.
No.
I thought y'all were seeing it. I'm sitting here doing a tour.
I thought you were just getting it ready before you put it on the screen.
No, I'm sorry. I thought it was showing there. There's one of Pan Am Flight 103 Memorial. Right. This is Arlington House. This is Robert E. Lee's old plantation. Mm-hmm. The JFK grave sites. Why did they have that twice? Civil War unknowns. Where's the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? There it is. Okay. The Memorial Amphitheater. And that's where, this is where the tours are, and these are where the guards are. Okay. And old Fort Myer, the original engineer, the military engineer branch, this was their fort for a long time. Mm-hmm. They've moved it out to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. And of course, everybody knows what this building is.
Yeah.
What does that say that the middle of the Pentagon is a subway?
What?
Yeah. Well,
I've never heard that.
That's always been a snack bar of some sort. And it's kind of funny. The Soviets were doing aerial reconnaissance on this. And they kept seeing every day at lunchtime, all these people would go out and disappear into this building. It used to be a hot dog and hamburger stand.
Mm-hmm.
And the Soviets thought it was a bunker because everybody kept disappearing up underneath that pavilion. So they were that was a major target for the Soviet military for forever. And what's funny, when they wanted to know who was disappearing into that bunker, it's not a bunker, it's a flipping restaurant. It's where everybody went at lunch to get their food, you know.
It's probably a Dollar General now.
That would not swell. I mean, they got CVS Pharmacy. They got everything in there. I mean, Baskin Robbins, Lynch Collections. They sell memorabilia and stuff like Navy Federal Credit Union, of course. They have a hair center. Okay. The Pentagon. There's the Starbucks. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. It's military. They got to have their coffee.
When you said Lynch Collections, I'm like, they have a collection agency there?
Well, no, it's collectibles. It's
right. Yeah.
You buy all your little monuments like American Eagles and stuff like that, and they're all ceramic and crystal things and knickknacks and
right.
I see. Where was that Washington? Oh, there's the eclipse. That's where the UFO landed.
There you go.
And the day there stood still. And of course, you've got just below it the Washington Monument, which you see in several of the pictures of the UFO. I'm trying to figure, is this the building with the Department of Commerce?
No, that's the long building that you see in the photo, modern day photo.
They've changed the roof since then. There's NOAA. And let's see here. U.S. International Trade Administration.
No, the American States building is on the other side. So when you look at the modern day photo, you're looking exactly
that's what I'm thinking.
They
put it backwards for some weird reason.
Well, in the day the Earth stood still, what you're looking at for the landing field and the Washington Monument are reversed north to south to this map.
That's why I'm thinking they put it backwards for some reason. I imagine it had something to do with lighting Would be my
Probably so. Probably so.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it was a movie, so they had to pay really strict attention to how things were, and it was a black and white movie, so lighting is even more important.
Yeah, very. But no, that might be right. I guess it depends on the angle of the camera.
Well, given the Washington Monument looks like it's north, then that long roof is the other building you were just talking about, and the one that you kept trying to recognize would be behind the camera for that shot.
Well, that gives y'all an idea of how my brain works. I keep wondering about that stuff. And,
Yeah.
they're just showing it again.
Yep. That one long building, it has to be the same thing because it's in the same direction.
You know, that makes that a pretty darn big flying saucer too.
Yeah, it's
there's one story. There's about 2 more stories. Okay. And that's a big damn building.
And that's a big damn softball field. So it's taken up all 4 bases.
That is the infield. Yes.
So if you go to that collectible shop, John, and get your little trinkets of the Lincoln War Memorial and all that stuff, I wonder if you can get a little flying saucer trinket.
Wouldn't that be cool if they actually had flying saucers in the Pentagon just for the day the Earth stood still?
It would be nice. Yeah.
You know, being as we're broadcasting this over the internet, somebody has to think about that.
Or a little marker on the field where the saucer was supposed to be.
On this day in 1957, or
on the edge of the field, you've got this plinth with a brass plaque that says, "This is the actual location where they filmed this sequence from Day the Earth Stood Still."
No, I got a better one. You put a plaque there that's got the little radiation symbol on it. It says, "Radioactive, do not stand here."
You know how many people would stand there going
just to get their picture taken. Yeah.
It's like the manhole covers that say teleport, and people stand there for days and nothing ever happens.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off here in just a second, but I'm gonna leave you with a joke.
Okay.
Guy's walking down the street and he comes up and he sees this guy standing on a manhole cover. The guy's jumping up and down. He's yelling, 21, 21, 21, 21. He goes over and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Can you help me?" The guy goes, "Well, yeah." He says, "Stand on this manhole cover and jump up and down. Every time you jump up and down, yell 21. I'll be right back." He says, "What? I got to go get help. Just do what I say. I'll explain it later." So the guy goes over there. He says, "This manhole," he says, "just jump up and down, yell 21. He says, "Okay." So the guy trying to be helpful starts jumping up and down. Every time he jumps up and down, he yells 21, 21, 21. He says, "Higher." And the guy's good. 21. And he keeps jumping a little bit higher every time. And the guy reaches down while he's in mid jump, grabs the manhole cover, pulls it out of the way, and the guy just falls straight through the manhole cover. Straight through the manhole. He throws the cover back on top, stands on top of it, starts jumping up and down again, going 22,
22.
22.
I knew where you were going with that.
Good night, everybody.
I heard a different version of that one. Good night, John. Thank you very
Good
much for
night,
being here.
I am not far behind him, Dan, because like I said in the comments, I have a
you got an early morning, and it's already 10 till 2.
Yeah, it's quarter to 1 our time, and I have a 9 o'clock breakfast date with Laura at the IHOP, and then we got to go over back to her dad's and do a bunch more work. and that, and then try to get home at a decent hour. Tonight here, supposedly after 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, we're supposed to get some hellacious storms. And I say hellacious, emphasizing on the word hail.
Yep.
And they were talking. I don't know what size. I was talking to Laura a little while ago. She was telling me about it, and it was news to me. But so that's another reason why I need to turn off what's on the telly here and try to get to sleep before that starts. Now we had some back home in downstate in Oakwood last night, but
well, there is a tropical storm moving up from the Gulf of Mexico, and at the moment it is parked right over my house, and the rain is just bucketing down.
Is that what is that? Carla or Carol, or I know it's a woman's name with a C.
Caroline or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's there's not a lot of wind, but there's a whole lot of rain. So we've got flash flood warnings going off and everything else. Earlier tonight, it was supposed to hit us like 1 o'clock this afternoon. It was just a little sprinkle. It was just a little sprinkle all night long. And then I go out just a few minutes ago, and it's like the Star Trek warp engine noise. It's just.
Well,
so we're getting flooded out there.
Mm-hmm. Between going to the auction last night and then jumping in the green room for a while, when I did go to bed, and that it wasn't even 20 minutes before I was out like a light, and we had some loud thunder boomers come through our area about 3:30 in the morning, and I didn't even wake up.
Yep.
And and if it's rain, hey, that'll put me to sleep.
Tell me about it.
Even a little bit of thunder and lightning, that'll put me to sleep unless it's boom, and it's right on top of you,
I've had that happen before. I actually had to call into work one day. I was sleeping on the couch, and it was a nice, gentle thunderstorm, and all of a sudden, a lightning strike about 50 yards from the house. And I jumped and twisted my neck and got frozen with my head on one shoulder. And I could not get that muscle to let go. I couldn't get it to release. So I was like this, and I'm going, ain't no way I'm going to work tonight. I'm going to have to call in. And it was just the shock of that loud a noise that close. I mean, I've when I was not trying to sleep, I've heard them even closer. Oh, how close have you ever been to an actual lightning strike?
I don't know what that was. I'm hearing something in the background.
Oh, well, I am talking about lightning. Thor's getting pissed.
Yeah. I evidently. No, I've actually not really close, but I have seen something kind of spectacular with it, where I've seen sky to ground lightning strike in a cornfield and stalks flying and kind of like corn stalk debris going every which way. And it was probably about 6-7 miles away, something like that.
Oh, when it is close enough, it's not this rack-a-boom. At first, you hear this noise like somebody taking a bed sheet and ripping it in half. It's just this, and then you hear the rack of boom and see the flash of light, or actually you see the flash of light, and if you're close enough, you hear the noise at the same time, and you know you've been really close to one. There's a tree over in the neighbor's yard that is about half as tall as it used to be, because one year it got blasted, and this is like within 100 yards of my front door, and thankfully I was not asleep on the couch for that one, because I don't believe I would have woke up. But I was just sitting in the chair reading a book, and whoo, that scared the willy out of me. I mean, just oh, I had to go change me underwear there. It was really frightening to be that close to that much energy going boom at one time. But
the scariest thing I ever saw that had to do with lightning in that was I was out at my grandmother's house in Fithian, Illinois, and in between Fithian and Ogden, which are basically 3 to 4 miles apart at the furthest, was a little farm pond that we used to go swimming in all the time. When we were kids, we would ride our bicycles out of Fithian, which that town is only 500 people. It's just a village.
yeah,
And we would go down the back roads, which there's nothing but cornfields and handful of farmhouses and that around there. And we get to the pond, and there was a corn crib on the other side that if we were going to change, we could change back and forth into it. But we were out there one day, and the temperature went from like 85, 86 to like 70 degrees inside of 10 minutes.
mm-hmm.
And I said, we need to get back, because we were riding bicycles at the time, and it was going to take us 20 minutes or so to get back into town. And so here we are going down the back roads, and it gets dark and it gets even colder, and you see lightning flashes, and the wind's whipping up, and then all of a sudden the wind just is gone. And we're like, oh no,
That's when
now
you know you're in trouble.
it's going to get really bad. So now we're pedaling even faster and harder, and our hearts are going thumpity, thumpity, thumpity out of our chest, because we're thinking, I mean, down there in downstate Illinois, especially Ogden, Illinois, they've been hit numerous times with tornadoes where it's wiped out half of the town. And we're, kind of not that far from it. We're about 2, 3 miles from it, and we're heading back toward Fithian, going back east. And we go down past this one where this barn is, and the field is all it's a cow pasture, but it's got a fence, wooden fence around there. And all of a sudden we see this little rolling lightning ball going across the top of the fence. Now there's a name for that, and it's too late now for me to think of what it is.
Ball lightning.
Just a ball lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rolling clean across the top. Now, my friend said, is there electric fence there and something malfunctioning? And no, it was just a wooden fence to a cow pasture. No, nothing on it. It was literally all wood. This thing is rolling across the top. When I first saw it, I wasn't sure what to think. I didn't know what it was. And then, 5 seconds later, because we saw it for maybe 20 seconds, which that kind of almost seemed like an eternity. But and we were stopped. We were frozen in our tracks. and seeing this thing rolling down one side, then it was like bouncing back and then rolled down again, and then it just kind of poof, and it was gone. And at that point, what didn't leave my body at the time, I knew I had to get home because it was going to leave my body really quick. It was just, I mean, and it was because of everything else that was leading up to it, made it even more, spookier than what it was. And that's the only time in my life I ever saw anything like
Well,
that.
it is one of those incredibly rare things to witness. I mean, it does not happen where people can actually see it all that often, and it can either go and dissipate, or it can wind up going pop like a lightning strike with a lot of thunder. Either way, and it's like seeing a ghost. It's not something you ever thought about seeing before, but when you do see it, uh, well, on the one hand, you can go, I've seen a rare phenomenon. On the other hand, you go, I need to get home and change my underwear real quick.
It was because I was amazed by it, and it was like where everybody else would have done took off right away. I was standing there. Now, part of it was I was paralyzed in fear, but the other part was, you know, uh, total fascination.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I understand. I've never seen it myself. It's a beautiful thing, but it can be so incredibly spooky.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of spooky, there's plenty of spookies up here in Chicago and that, and I'll have to ask Laura at breakfast tomorrow exactly where Midlothian, Illinois is, and where um, if she knows about Bachelor's Grove Cemetery and
Yeah, I know that from the story. Yeah.
Oh, and Resurrection Mary, the hitchhiking ghost. I think that's probably the most popular one.
Yeah.
I know it's Archer Avenue, but I don't know how far out. And I think it is near, I believe it was called Justice, Illinois. And that because I remember when they were talking on WGN one night and doing the ghost stories with Richard Crow, who would come on every year around Halloween and talk about all the local Chicago haunts and that, and that's why I was hoping to get John Pica last night interested in talking about what they were experiencing because he said he experienced something, but he didn't really go that much into it. And I know he was driving home with no AC, and I get being hot, but it's
well, you can always get on to him later and ask for more details. I mean, seriously, it's not like he's going to evaporate soon. No, it's the what was the name of the hitchhiking ghost again?
Resurrection Mary.
All right. Now that has become a standard trope for ghost stories. And the location does not have to be mentioned whatsoever. It's just the actual experience of here's somebody you pick up on the side of the road, you gonna take them home and all this, and they disappear, and you pull up at the address they told you to go to, and you go knock on the door, and they go, "Oh, she died 20 years ago." I mean, it's a standard. It's a standard trope.
Yeah. The typical format for the hitchhiking ghost story
Yeah.
And of course, she was called Resurrection Mary because it was after Resurrection Cemetery. This is supposedly where this girl was buried. She, back in the day, for anybody that doesn't know, if they're watching on the rerun later, that was before TV and people got out and went places and they went dancing and stuff. And there was two different ballrooms that supposedly Mary had frequented, and but nobody's quite certain which one she was at the night that she was hitchhiking back home. Apparently got hit by a vehicle and died right there, buried in Resurrection Cemetery. And then every once in a while, somebody will see her, and and she's in a white ball gown,
Yeah.
like you would go dance, very out of place, very vintage looking.
Yeah, especially
And
nowadays. Yeah.
hmm and they were talking to a taxi cab driver who actually picked her up, and uh, she sat in the front seat, and he accidentally brushed against her, said she was ice cold to the touch. And when they were coming up on Resurrection Cemetery, he's looking straight ahead because it's dark. And she said, "This is as far as I go." And when he turned to look at her after she said it, she was gone, just disappeared from the cab. And she was sitting in the front seat with him. There's a lot of stories about it, but the most interesting story was that the bars of the gates of Resurrection Cemetery, supposedly somebody saw her on the other side, on the inside of the gate, holding on to the bars with both hands, which I can't do that now because I'm
You're holding the phone with
holding
the
the
other hand.
phone with my other hand. And, but anyway, and they went to go up thinking, oh, somebody got locked into the cemetery. And they're going to go up, see if they can help them get out. And by the time they got up there, she was gone, and they're hollering for her and nowhere in sight. The following morning, they look at the bars and there are imprints, like someone squeezed through these steel bars, and there's imprints in there of like hand imprints, the fingers grabbing on, and it's like they're burned into it. And it was a big story in all the newspapers, and it escapes me what year that was from, but I'm saying late 70s is my best guess.
Oh,
And
I believe it probably goes back to the 20s.
well, I mean the issue with the bars.
Okay. Yeah.
I supposedly Resurrection Mary, the story started in the 30s at some point, but anyway, but no, the issue with the bars. Well, what happened was, the guy called it in, and they went up there and they saw the imprints on the bars the following day, and that big story. Everybody's going up taking pictures of it, and then I guess a week or two later, the owners of the cemetery went up and had the maintenance saw away the parts of the bars that had the imprints on them. And Richard Crowe, who was the local popular ghost hunter up there and did the big bus tours that was always sold out, he tried to buy the bars off of them, and the people, they wouldn't sell it. And then the bars were replaced with different bars afterwards, and that because the cemetery didn't want that kind of publicity. And and you can get on YouTube and hear them talking about the stories and that if you, but yeah, it's really interesting. And
One of my friends actually wrote that ghost story based on that trope, except for the bars and everything. But it was a girl in an old fashioned dress needed to go home. The guy was a taxi driver. Got her partway there, and she disappeared. He went to the address that she'd been wanting to get back to, and knocked on the door, and they said, "Oh, she's been dead for 20 years." So it was a standard ghost story, but he told it so well. It's one of the best ones that I have seen. It just took everything into account. It was the not only the details were right, but the characters in the thing were believable, and the sensory impressions to drag the reader into the story and make them want to keep turning pages was really, really well done. I mean, I've been bragging about this guy's story ever since, and he keeps promising me he will do something else sometime soon, but he hasn't gotten around to following through on that yet. But it's just one of the best stories I've ever published.
One of the other Resurrection Mary sightings were from people who said she actually stepped out in front of their vehicle. They thought they hit her, even though they didn't feel an impact, and it disappeared. And they looked in the rearview mirror and they couldn't find her. You know, it's like soon as supposed impact was to be made, then all of a sudden that's when she disappeared. But most of the people who had experiences with Mary was ones who picked her up or at least saw her walking along the side of the road. And you know, there was quite a few over the last 40 years or so, you know. And I guess there would be dry spells where nobody would hear anything or see anything for, you know, 6-7 years or whatever, and then all of a sudden it would come back, and then there would be people calling the police department about it, you know. And that's where I remember them talking to one of the officers from the Justice, Illinois Police Department, because I believe that's the closest one that would service that area. And that, but Dan, it's 10 after 1 here.
Yeah, and you got a date for a breakfast at the
which I'm, you know, and it's funny because Laura kept saying, "Bill, tomorrow's Sunday morning. What about your pancakes?" And I'm like,
you're going to IHOP.
We are going that the girl down at the front desk when we first checked in, Laura was asking about restaurants and stuff, and then all of a sudden she said IHOP, and then Laura turned around and looked at me and smiled, and we're like, "Yep, okay, we got our place we're going," you know, because then she said I could have my pancakes and that, and I may have to post a picture of it, even though I didn't make them.
Well, you're gonna enjoy them anyway. They make good ones. I don't care what town it's in. They've got really competent cooks. My favorite thing at an IHOP for a breakfasty sort of thing would be a Western omelet. But then, you know, everybody's got their own favorites and whatnot, and that's just absolutely fine. But you need to go to bed.
Yep.
So you can get up in time to get your pancakes.
I need to back out of here. I need to turn off the Dark Knight from the telly, even though it looks like it's about over. And I need to concentrate on getting a little bit of shut eye and that. But I thank you for getting me in tonight. I was just really thinking that I was going to just do some comments and that and leave it at that. And then I thought, well, for a little bit, and then look where we are now, So.
Yeah. I mean, you and Nick are basically the backbone of this I can't sleep show. So
I'll sleep tonight. I will. You
you
will
will.
truly be last Dan standing.
Yes. Well, you'd be surprised how many times that's been the case, no matter where I've been. So,
Which
no,
I still say that was the better name for your show and that, and I would have took total credit for it. But
you
anyway,
will.
that's fine. But anyway, well, you have a pleasant evening and pleasant nightmares. We had a real quick, I'll tell you this real quick and then I'll sign out. You guys were talking about shock theater and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And the one in Indianapolis, they had Sammy Terry. And it was a play on words of cemetery, but it was Sammy, the name, and then Terry, which is another name. And the guy was kind of a Dracula looking ghoul. And that, and at the end of the show, he would show, whatever scary movie. And at the end of the show, he would always say, pleasant nightmares. And that's how he ended it every night, every week.
Y'all were lucky. Down here, we had shock theater coming out of, I believe it was North Carolina, but there wasn't a host. It was just a Screaming Skull logo in the movie, and that was it. That was it. We weren't treated to any host and comedy bits. So
yeah, we were glad of that, and we still have Sven Gooley that's on MeTV, who I'm friends with. His name is Rich Cause, and we're friends on Facebook and stuff. So I get to know what's going to be on Sven Gooley about 4 or 5 days before, and that, even though he does announce it at the end of the, like, whatever his show is tonight. And I did not have MeTV on this thing here at the Sheridan, so I was a little, what the heck. But anyway,
it's a hotel. What can you say? You don't control the volume of the content.
Yeah, well, that's true. I can barely control my bladder. So anyway, but
well, you're a better man than I am. You noticed how many times I got to jump up and run.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, all right, on that note,
good night.
Yeah, same to you, and we'll see you in the funny papers.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bill is always just one of those just absolutely fascinating people to talk to. He's got a brain and he ain't afraid to use it, I just love him for it. It would have been nice if Nick had been here. It would have been nice if well, lots of people. Lots of people. But this is a late night show, and folks who don't have a reason to be up or aren't total insomniacs are usually peacefully asleep by the time things get started for this particular venue. Now, I'd like to thank Brian K. Morris for inviting us to be part of the Rising Tide Network, and I'd like to thank Joe Dog for giving me the skills I needed to be able to do this and the confidence to be able to do this. It took me a while, but when I finally said, let's go for it, it was surprisingly easy to make the adjustment from just being somebody that was on a panel to being somebody that was doing hosting. So there we go. Let's see. I don't really think I need to go read through the entire Rising Tide broadcast schedule. I could do it, but that particular graphic needs to be updated because some of the stuff is on more than just YouTube and Facebook, and there are new things that will be coming up. I'd like to thank Lewis Lee because this is an absolutely beautiful graphic, and Lewis has done a lot of work with it, and it's just absolutely wonderful. You got everything right there. You got the emblems for the different channels to look on things, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. But sadly, advances have been made since this graphic was produced, so we're going to have to find a way to give him time to update this particular little beautiful piece of artwork. And we're going to wind up needing to send this to Brian K. Morris so that he has a copy of this instead of that plain text one that he's been using, and which is nothing wrong with that, at all. But when you got something this neat, you really want to just share it with everybody you can. And speaking of sharing things, it's raining like buckets coming down. I swear. We thought we weren't going to get anything out of this tropical storm because it didn't do anything but sprinkle until well after the sun went down. And now it's like a fire hose over the house. Yeah, I swear. I'm going to sleep good tonight, let me tell you. All right. Going to close everything out. Thank you very much for watching, whether it's the live or the replay. And most likely it'll be the replay because we didn't have that many people watching live, but I don't care. It's one of those things where it's being recorded for someone else's pleasure to experience later. And let me roll those end credits here, so I can go ahead and go to bed here shortly, in about 10 minutes. Good night, everybody. Thank you, and have a great life. You deserve it.